Good afternoon. So welcome to your co-op conversation for the food group here at Mid Counties. So one of a number of conversations, you may have been already involved in some to date, but a number of conversations that are happening between now and our AGM on the 13th of May. I'll start with some introductions. So my name's Rupert Newman. I look after our food and healthcare group. And I'm joined today by Mark Taylor, who's our head of operations, who runs our store operations, and Sarah Jane Moore, our head of commercial, who looks after our supply chain teams, our layout space and ranging teams, our local teams, and many more besides. And then two people helping us with the session today. So I've got Claire Downs, who heads up our partnerships area of the society, and Claire will be helping facilitate the Q&A session a little bit later on. And then Sophie Heath, who's on point and helping us with the technology today. So, from our point of view, everybody is willing Sophie on at this stage, and I'm sure everything will be fine. So before we get into the main body of the session, I just wanted to start by playing, a short video that just really summarises some of the best of what we do here at Mid Counties. Okay, so Sophie, do you just want to click us through to the first slide, and I'll talk people through a little bit how we're going to do what we're going to do today, and just hopefully give you some sense of where we're headed. So first of all, the session's being recorded. That's because we want to make it available at a later date to people who haven't had the opportunity today to come and take part for a variety of reasons. We'd ask you just to keep your microphones muted until the Q&A session, and actually when we do get to questions later on, Claire will take you through the couple of ways you can ask questions, whether that's in the chat or whether that's just taking the mic off and asking a specific question. So we'll talk you through that. If you're new to Teams, then we'll help you guide you through what that looks like. So that's the kind of base housekeeping. And then I suppose, for me, the spirit of our session today, we just wanted to maintain the fact that everyone's view is important. We're here to listen. We want to understand your views and what's on your minds, and feel free to say what you think, whether that's formative or whether that's positive or besides. And for us, there's no right or wrong answer. And, a great way to think about how we do these sessions is building on other people's ideas is really, really helpful and useful for the session today. So for us, I just want to start by saying it has been a different year. Our colleagues and our members have had to, deliver and exist and work and effectively go about their business in the toughest of conditions. So it's just a huge thank you for our colleagues for doing up and stepping up to the plate on that, but also for our members for working with us at what has been a really challenging period of time. Now, in that period of time, there's been a number of changes in consumer behaviour, a number of changes that have come about, and some of those have been from necessity and some of those have been through choice. And I suppose one of the big questions I get asked quite a lot at the moment is, what do you think's a permanent change and what do you think will revert back over time? And I suppose that the short answer is it's probably too early to tell, because we haven't really, stepped fully out of what we've been working through over the course of the last 12 months or so. But from my point of view, what we have done is a lot of listening, whether it be with our members, with our colleagues, with our store managers, with our teams across the society, to try and to understand what is on their minds. And where we've got to is kind of 10 key themes that have emerged. And I just wanted to take you through those, because the purpose of our session today is to kind of talk you through what we think is going on and what we're hearing, but actually then get your view on what you're thinking and whether these resonate with you, or whether there are other things that you think are on your mind, or you think we need to be more attuned to. So for me at the moment, as you can see in front of you, there's top 10 consumer trends. It's a summary of kind of lots of different information that we brought together. And just to walk through and explain what each of them means very quickly before Mark and Sarah Jane pull out a couple of them and just bring them to life from the society's context. So eco-conscious, this is about people wanting to buy from and work with businesses, brands, societies who make it easy to be green. So that is something that has been there for a number of years now, but it's become particularly into view over the last 12 months. In the know is about our consumers, our customers, our members wanting the right amount of information at the right time. Not too much, not an overwhelming amount, but wanting to be informed with the decisions that they're taking. So that has become a big kind of thing that people want, look for. Discerning consumption. This is about people wanting to engage with the people that they purchase from, who they want them to have a cause. They want them to stand for something. They want them to have a point of view. So that's become more important over the course of the last period of time. Experience above all is quite simple. This is about the idea of doing, not having. And I suppose the pandemic has brought that sharply into view, where we haven't been able to do some of the things we would normally want to do. And therefore, doing, not having has gone up there as something that is really top of mind for people. Frictionless living is about how we make life as simple and as easy and as effortless and as efficient as we can do in everything that we do, all our interactions, whether that be at home or at work or outside of the workplace. Seeking well-being, builds on the common theme, the big conversation I feel we're having at the moment, which is great. And it was one of the sessions that we did earlier in the week around mental health as emerging topic. So how can people take positive steps to have better well-being? Forcing equality is about people wanting to make sure that where they are buying from, the people they're engaging with are behaving appropriately and driving change, not just sitting still, but actually positively taking action to change things. Seeking safety and security, that's a kind of obvious one over the course of the last year. We've all had, a number of things, a variety of things that have kind of shaken us to the core, and therefore being able to provide that safety and security is absolutely key for all of us as we move forward. And then for the final two, belonging, it's driven predominantly by younger people, but not exclusively, which is about how people find a place in the world and understanding where they fit. And then finally, quickly changing attitudes is about how we can better use data and insights to be more agile and personalize our responses for our members, our customers, our colleagues, and the people who are part of the society. So for me, those are the 10 areas, the big themes. They're not exhaustive, and you might have other things that you will add into that. We'll come back to that quite shortly. But I'm now just going to hand over to Mark and Sarah Jane, but Mark first, who's just going to break out and kind of bring to life one of those for you. So Mark, over to you.
Thanks, Rupert, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I just want to spend a few minutes talking about our plans to make the food group more energy efficient and our plans to reduce waste further. We know our members are passionate about protecting the environment and reducing our impact on the planet. And as a food group, we are fully aware that we need to minimise the environmental impact on our business operations. So one of the biggest impacts that we can make is centred around our refrigeration. Obviously, as a food business, all of our stores carry a huge amount of refrigeration units within the store. And actually, around about now, about 25% of our sales are generated from a refrigeration, whether it be chilled produce or even chilled beers and wines. And so we're investing in more energy efficient refrigeration. The new units that we're putting into stores with the doors on the fridges that you may have seen deliver a 50 to 70% reduction in energy usage. And last year, we replaced 40 of our stores' old refrigeration, which is just under 20% of the estate, with these more efficient models. And this year, we already have over 20 stores either completed or scheduled. I was recently in our stores in Hazelmere and Wickham and Rusket in Banbury. I'm not sure if there's any members who shop in those stores on the call tonight, but both of those stores have had new refrigeration fitted in the past few weeks, and I have to say the feedback from the members in the store was really, really positive. We'll continue to invest in LED lighting, rolling this out to more stores, but also including back of house areas and car parks. And you may be aware that we've installed solar panels on 4 of our stores across Gloucestershire. And we're working with our utilities business partner. I know Lizzie Heron's on the call, so hopefully you're nodding your head, Lizzie, at this moment in time, to identify further opportunities. And these 4 stores alone generate over 170,000 kilowatt hours of energy per year, and that's the equivalent of providing enough power for 15 households for a whole year. We've also implemented 16 electric car charging points across 12 of our sites to date, helping our members and customers adopt low carbon lifestyles. And we're reviewing more opportunity for this across our food store car parks, making it convenient for members to charge their vehicles while shopping in store. And as you'll probably be aware, we've eliminated single-use plastic bags across all of our food stores now and replaced them with compostable bags. That initiative has reduced 8 million plastic bags per year, or it will do this year. And having done this, we're now taking further action by phasing out our 10p plastic bags for life across our food stores. These have almost become the new single-use carrier bag, and that incentive will also help reduce over 2 million additional plastic bags per year. We're also looking at rolling out in the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks, actually, plastic film recycling facilities across 200 food stores. And what that will do is ensure that every community that we serve has this service in place by the end of the summer. We've also got a couple of really exciting pilots in our larger stores with milk vending machines that we've got across 3 stores and water stations, allowing members to fill their own utensils up, and also weigh your own gravity feeders that we've trialled in Botley, further investments that reduce the need for plastic packaging. From a waste point of view, we've invested in a dynamic waste system, which gives us a really sophisticated reduce to clear pricing model, and we'll see further benefits of that this year, which will help reduce food waste further by giving us the optimum price to reduce short dated stock down based on time of day and the volume that's held in each store. And then finally, we're also going to launch a partnership to further support our fight against food waste. And that partnership will allow us to provide selection bags of products that would otherwise be going to waste, going out of date on that evening, for purchaser to reduce price, and also investigating ways to enable waste products to be donated to charities and families in need through organisations such as Fair Share and community schemes such as Community Fridges. So hopefully you'll agree, a lot going on, but I'm now going to hand over to Sarah Jane, who's going to talk about how we're going to make the shopping experience for our members less complicated. Over to you, Sarah Jane.
Thanks, Mark. Good afternoon, everybody. So what does frictionless living really mean? Well, actually, this is about making sure that for customers, for members, for colleagues, it's easier to get what we need, and it's easier to get it in an efficient and quick way. So what have we been doing? Well, the most important example of what we've been doing in this space is our home delivery proposition. So we've been delivering throughout the pandemic to customers and members in need through a team of volunteers, and we've now delivered in excess of 120,000 deliveries across our communities. And we're really proud of what we've done in this space, not only because we're providing essentials and providing food to people that need it, that maybe haven't been able to get out of their home or maybe have been isolating, but also because we're providing a service in terms of connection. So whether it's through our customer call centre or whether it's through the delivery driver themselves, actually some of these people might not have seen anybody or spoken to anybody all day, or maybe over the last few days. And therefore we're providing a really important service in terms of connection and maybe having a little chat about what's going on, as well as providing great food essentials. So in terms of frictionless living, it's about making things easier. It's about instant access and making things available, making things that people want and need easily and effortlessly available. People are time poor. There's an expectation now that things will be instantaneous and easy, and that services and goods will be delivered in a really timely fashion. Online food sales have increased significantly in the last year as part of the pandemic. So in the UK, they've gone from 7% to 15%, and that's phenomenal in terms of the step change that that's causing out there. So home delivery is just one example of an online type proposition in terms of how we can bring deliveries to customers and members in need. But also in the year ahead, we're thinking about what our proposition looks like in this space. So we're developing what we're calling a click and collect solution. So this is about offering our best of our counties range, our local range, that today a number of our communities and our convenience stores are having to travel to our bigger food markets to get these type of local products. We're developing a proposition that will allow them to order a select number of products and have them delivered to our convenience stores so they can pick up in their local convenience store and bring that much broader range available to them. We're really looking at the way in which that can be effortless and efficient so that we can do that as often as possible, because it's really important that we free up time for our colleagues and members, our customers, and members, so that they can spend less time on chores and spend more time on what's important to them. We're also thinking about the in-store process. So whether that's products on our shelves, namely not putting big products on the top shelf, making sure products are easily accessible to all, or whether that's our card machines and our card payments. So we've implemented an upgrade process across all of our stores in terms of card payment terminals, but we've also upgraded the terminals that our colleagues use in store in terms of the jobs and the tasks that they need to achieve to make it more efficient and quicker for them so that they can free up more time to support customers and members. We're also thinking about how we tailor our offers for member rewards. So we've implemented a process called Promo Pay, which is about setting up member rewards across our business, so across all groups, but how we're showing them within the food store, and how we're then making sure that we develop that as the year ahead continues. So we're looking at personalisation, we're looking at how we can make those rewards much more focused on the individual, and we're really looking at how we accelerate membership as the year ahead progresses. So please, today, tell us what we're doing well. Tell us what's more challenging so that we can really build on that feedback and we can really make sure that we're really making it a true frictionless journey. Thank you very much for listening. I'll hand back to Rupert.
Thanks, Sarah Jane, and thank you, Mark. So what you've heard from Sarah Jane and Mark is they brought to life a couple of the kind of themes that we see emerging and talked about what we've done and what we're planning to do. You will have seen the other 8 as well, and you'll have views of your own, I am sure. So now I'll hand over to Claire, who's going to take you through, first of all, how we're going to do the questions and the conversation, and then also talk you through, basically facilitate that for us. So Claire, over to you.
Thanks, Rupert. Hello, everyone. So for our Q&A session, we'll be taking questions one of 2 ways. So the first one is via the chat function. So that's located at the top of your screen, and it's got the speech bubble. So if you click on that, you can type your question in there, and then I'll be able to read that out for you. Or alternatively, you can use the hands up function, which is the icon actually is on the right-hand side. If you pop your hand up, I'll be able to unmute you then, and then you'll be able to ask your question live to the panel. So we're going to try and get through as many questions as possible, but any that require more of a specific response, then we'll ensure that we'll follow up directly. So over to you, the fun part, I would say, of the question time. So while I give you a moment to maybe type some questions in or pop your hand up, you might be interested to know that actually we run a number of roadshows for our store managers. There's an opportunity for store managers to ask questions. It's 2-way, and they tend to lead with a particular theme. And we run those every 2 to 3 months, and we're actually undergoing some at the moment. And you might be interested to know that on our store managers' minds at the moment is around what might be happening as lockdown is easing from the 21st of June. So Mark, are you okay to give us a bit of an overview on that?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So obviously this year, I think it's fair to say our biggest focus has been ensuring that our members and our colleagues are kept safe during the COVID pandemic. And we've taken a number of steps, as hopefully you've seen on your visits to the stores, to protect our members and our colleagues during this time. So all of our stores still operate a 2 metre social distancing rule, and even when it was relaxed to 1 metre, in terms of the advice, we've always kept that at 2 metres where possible. All of our colleagues are obviously provided with full PPE, including face masks. And again, you know, we went early in terms of talk to our colleagues about why we felt it necessary that they wore face masks before the government advice changed to that back in July of last year. We've also installed sanitizer units that you can see across the entrances of all of our stores, as well as helping to support stores where it was really difficult managing the capacity numbers in the store, particularly some of our larger stores, by installing traffic light systems in some of our busiest stores. So we've got about 30 stores that have had the benefit of those. And you know, our customer safety score, which is a question that all of our customers who interact with us and give us feedback on a weekly basis, and we get anything, you know, normally sort of 1,200 responses every week. It's consistently been above sort of 90% when we ask them the question, how safe do you feel in our store? So, you know, that's the background. You know, we obviously want to see what the government advice will be in terms of the easing of restrictions, both for step 3 on the 17th of May, and in particular the last stage on June the 21st. But we know that, you know, for many of our members, it will be an anxious time, and you know, we will take our members' views, we'll talk to our colleagues, obviously following the government advice in terms of what that looks like to us post June the 21st.
Thanks, Mark. That's really helpful. Okay, so we've got a point in the chat. So Siobhan, thank you very much. It's not a question, but it's highlighting about the new HTs that we've got in our food stores and for signing up new members, and it's a great tool and easy to use, which is brilliant and links into the frictionless. Anything you'd like to say more about that?
Just that member rewards is a really important part of what we're focused on going forward this year. Really important part. You know, our member trade is at about 20%, just over 20%, and it's really important that we're offering great deals to our members and really giving them a great reason to get their card out and to really feel part of our membership. So we're looking at what we do across the whole of the group, not just in food, but how we make sure that it's really clear what's on offer across all of the different groups in which we trade. So lots of focus on this behind the scenes, on bigger and better deals and a wider variety of them. Watch this space.
Thanks, Sarah. And Rupert.
Yeah, just one for me, actually, just one for clarity, because we use a lot of 3-letter acronyms actually internally, and so if you're wondering what a HHT is, it's a handheld terminal. It's kind of like a device with all our kind of that has access to all our systems that the colleagues on the sales floor can use to count stock or make various changes in there. So that's what they are. And actually, Siobhan, it's great to hear that from you, because actually for me, having been in store last week and seen colleagues signing up people on the handheld devices, one, it meant that you could do that in the presence of the customer and the member, or customer who was becoming the member in the moment, and it just felt more intuitive and more frictionless, actually. So it's great to hear that's working overall, so thank you for that.
Thanks, Rupert. So we've got a hand up from Stephen. Stephen, I'm going to unmute you now if you don't mind asking your question.
Oh, not unmuted yet. Sorry, Stephen.
Sorry, Stephen. Are you able to unmute yourself at all? Unfortunately, it's not letting me. There you go.
We've got you now, Stephen. Thank you.
I often cycle to my 2 nearby convenience stores, and it'd be nice if I got a membership point at the till, because I've cycled in an eco manner, and the car park at the one is really busy and congested. So taking the car into the one is, you know, a little bit dicey. It wouldn't cost mid-counties very much at all, 1 point a transaction, but it would be a wonderful PR opportunity for mid-counties to say, we are doing it.
That's a brilliant idea, Stephen.
Brilliant.
That is. So, where did you say your local stores are, Stephen? Sorry.
Barnwood and Hockercote, but Barnwood is fine, but it can be a very busy car park. times.
Yeah, and you've got a choice of about 5 stores on that road. I think any of ours down there to cycle to. So I think that's a fantastic idea. We'll sort of make a note of that and see what we can do about that.
Could I raise the second one, please? If I cycle as far as Long Levens on a Tuesday, I can get an oldest discount, but I can't get an oldest discount at my convenience store. You're encouraging me to keep fit by going there, but any thoughts on a little bit more oldest discounts at more locations?
Yeah, I mean, Diamond Discount initially, as you know, was something that we rolled out to our largest stores. So we've probably got about 44, 45 stores that use Diamond Discount at the minute on a Tuesday. As you would know from cycling there on a Tuesday, if you do that, it is hugely popular. But of course, everything that we do has to be cost effective. And I think we did try it in a couple of convenience stores actually, and didn't really get the pick in terms of driving the additional footfall into those stores. But never say never. But at this moment in time, I think in terms of the stores that we do it in, we also do NHS discount. I was in a new store yesterday that we launched over in Sutton Coldfield, and there is a hospital right opposite, the Good Hope Hospital, and I saw a number of people there yesterday who work at the hospital who are really, really grateful in terms of the fact that they get 10% off when they shop with us now. And obviously we also do the NUS student scheme as well, so lots of activity. Never say never about rolling Diamond Discount out to our conventions, but we wouldn't want you to not get fit, Stephen, either.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Rupert, can you add?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back on Stephen's first one, actually. I mean, Stephen, first of all, thank you for your feedback, but also your first idea around, getting some form of reward for, turning up on your bike. There was a session actually as one of these conversations the other night, which was all about putting the U into your co-op rewards. And actually, there were some great ideas that came out of that session. So hold that moment on that one, because there's a whole sort of raft of things that came out of that session that I know the team that are looking at that broader program are reflecting on from there. So just great idea. And if you have any other ones, please send them through. So thank you for your time on that one.
Thank you. So we've got Pat, our member Pat. So have the figures and references that been made refer to mid-counties, or were co-op stores included? So I think that's referring to the eco-conscious part, Mark. So
Yeah.
can you clarify that for us, please?
Yeah, that's all mid-counties numbers. I know some of that was quite staggering in terms of the solar panels, etc. But yeah, that's all mid-counties numbers.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Pat, on that one. We have another hand up. So Anne, would you mind unmuting yourself and asking your question?
Yes, hello. It's 3 questions. Dare I ask 3? Yes. Have the once upon a time there used to be a suggestion comment book in all the stores, food stores, but I haven't noticed one. I'm not saying they're not there. I haven't noticed any over the last year. Is it because people just put road things in? I mean, it could have been.
I think the books are there. Funny enough, and we were talking about this the other day, because the books haven't been used that much recently, and some of the books, there's probably 2 or 3 comments, because most people are sort of posting that indirectly now.
Actually, thinking about it, you wouldn't use a pencil at the moment, would you?
And that's probably, yeah. You're right.
But that's way back, long time ago. We had down in Botley, you could go and do your shopping and it just went into crates and you didn't have to lug it home. That was because Botley was very much a store where you walked to the store, and I know that makes a huge difference. I mean, where I go, it's 3 miles down the road in the next village, so I either catch the bus or drive. I don't cycle, the road's too busy. But that I didn't hear that sort of offer with all the various things you're talking about, the new click and collect and so on. And there also used to be way back over in Carterton, I'm sorry, I'm going back too far, but the where you could sort of phone up and it was like a click and collect.
Well, if I can answer those questions for you, Anne. First of all, thanks for mentioning Carterton, because I know on the call we've got the one of the old store managers at Carterton who still refers to it as some of his happiest days in food retail. On the Botley one, it's an interesting one actually, because we still run that service in our Summertown, Marston and Headington stores. So I don't know when. I know when I was actually the area manager for the Oxford stores, going back sort of 15 years ago, when Botley was included in that service. So I don't think it'd be too difficult to sort of incorporate that back into the service there for you, Dan. So if you leave that one with me, I'll have a look at that and I'll get back to you personally to let you know when we do that. But I can't imagine there being a reason why we couldn't reintroduce that, to be fair.
And last thing, this is a perennial. How many people who shop in our stores are members? Because I know very often I sort of hand my membership card over, but maybe 3 people in front of me haven't done that. And you just think, 1 in 4, 1 in how many? And I know, you know, we're forever trying to sort this out. It's a good job that people who aren't members do shop, because we want as many people to do that. But you know,
yeah, no, do you know what? It's a really good question. It's one that we, you know, Sarah Jane mentioned actually earlier that we would say in our food stores at the moment, you know, 1 in 5 transactions effectively. So effectively 20% of what we do is with members. Now, at the moment, you know, because of what's happened with the pandemic over the last 12 months, then people have maybe been keener to get in and get out, and not meant to sort of spend time at the point of payment with a card or otherwise. So for us at the moment, one of our big focuses, and hopefully, you know, you'll notice and feel it when you're in one of our food stores, is just making sure we're asking people for their membership card, and making sure that we've engaged them in a conversation around membership, because we think there's probably an opportunity for more members who have cards who aren't using them to get them to use them. And then obviously going forward, we've got some great ideas about how we're going to grow our membership through engaging with our potential future members and existing members in a variety of different ways. So at the moment, you know, it's about 20%, but that's something that we think we absolutely plan to improve over the course of the coming years. I
mean, just even to say to somebody at the till, because if you're at the till, you're pretty busy, aren't you? Do visit our website, midcounties.coop, and maybe on the website we could just say, hello, are you a newcomer? Something that's there for people who are dropping in to find out about it.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's a really good point. So we talked a little bit earlier about the ability to sign you up there and then in store. We also have, you know, leaflets that people can take away with them. We can also help people if they want a bit of assistance signing up, because it's not, you know, something that everybody is necessarily that comfortable with, some of the technology. And then as part of some of our kind of future plans, there's ways about how do we make it really, really simple. So for those people who have a smartphone, maybe creating a QR code that they can scan that takes them straight through to a sign up site or otherwise. So it's really, it's really helpful actually to hear that. And the good news is it's something that's really on our minds at the moment as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne, for those great questions. So I'm going to move on to the chat. So we've got one from Jane Palmer. Will the facility to collect local products be available at all convenience stores? Sarah, can I give that one to you?
So what we're starting, which will happen around July time, is a pilot. So it's only a small handful of stores in our pilot. So the simple answer is no, but the other element of this is that it will roll out to more premium convenience stores by the end of the year. So we're thinking about 50, but because what we're looking at is the affluence or the premium nature of those stores as a starter for 10, to see how well those local products deliver in those stores. If we were to go out to all of the different types of store that we have across our whole group, the proposition might not be right. The selection of products might be a bit expensive to some of our stores. So we're treading cautiously. We're doing a small pilot first to understand the needs and have the opportunity for both members and customers to feed in around what they like and what works in the format. And then we will assess it in terms of further rollout as we progress. But thank you.
Thanks, Sarah Jane. And then we've got 2 questions here that are linked together, one from Jenny and one from Pat. So French supermarkets have a legal obligation to avoid food waste. What legislation do you think would be helpful to prevent food waste here, so that all supermarkets are on the same playing field? and that then links into around products. The best before date could be extended. I often pick up items from our local food waste hub that lasts for longer. So Mark, can I give that one to you?
Yeah, I think obviously legislation would help, but I think as a cooperative, our own values should be driving us to do everything that we possibly can to avoid food waste. And I mean, the good news is all of our waste food goes to anaerobic digestion currently. But as I said earlier, we've got lots of plans around, donating to charities, working with partners that will develop through an app for people to collect short-dated product before it's thrown away. So that there's lots of things that are going on. I agree with the point around the produce, and lots of produce is absolutely fine. Unfortunately, after we can't sell it, but that's why I think, particularly in our larger stores, we're looking at trying to drive more loose produce. There's obviously also the packaging angle there as well. But you should be seeing now, a lot more local and a lot more loose produce in our stores.
Thank you, Mark. Rupert?
Yeah, and the other sort of build on that would be the good thing in this space is that lots of this is one of the topics that lots of retailers are working on together, and that's because they're kind of putting aside some of the competitive differences and saying how do we tackle this problem together. So from a cooperative movement point of view, many of you may be aware that we are part of a wider buying group with all the other independent societies like Lincolnshire Co-op and Southern Co-op, and also Co-op Group, which is obviously more nationwide from a food store perspective. And we sit on a monthly basis with the leaders of the different food societies and talk about how we can do things jointly and create some momentum across the country on these issues as well. So the good thing is it's not something that's perceived as anti-competitive. It's actually perceived as something that we will do better if we do it together. So from my point of view, the good news is that's happening, and I know it's happening beyond just the cooperative movement, but in particular that's one of the conversations we're having currently.
Thank you, Rupert. So Stephen has got his hand up. So do you mind unmuting yourself, Stephen, and asking your question?
Yes, just an observation, which could be wrong. I need wiser people like you to guide me. But this year, forget about pandemic panic buying. My observation at the Newent store and at the Long Leven stores, so these are bigger stores, is the amount of empty shelf space. Now, I understand stock control, but I see the gaps. I see the gaps behind the products which have been brought forward to the front, and it looks excessive to me. And the impression I get is of a failing business. It isn't a failing business, but it visually, to me, doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Rupert?
Yeah. So Stephen, I can't comment on the individual the experiences you've had, but I can talk more generally actually in terms of what we've experienced, but also what we're doing. I think because that's the most important bit to probably spend some time on. So absolutely, when there was kind of peak panic buying through the course of sort of March, April, and May last year, a number of retailers obviously saw shelves stripped, and the supply of product wasn't necessarily meeting the demand at that point in time. And some of those there's some legacy issues that are not just for us as mid counties, but across the wider food spectrum, because some factories, some producers have struggled to catch up and get all variants back in. So for example, for a period of time, Heinz just switched their production into a core 5 or 6 lines rather than the kind of wider range that they did, so that they could just focus on getting the volume out of the lines that people wanted to buy. Now, funnily enough, I've just been part of a conversation prior to this call that about some of the longer term issues that's come as a result of that. One of them would be in pet food. So pet food production at the moment is at full capacity. All the kind of sites are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But as a result of demand going up, as a result of more of us getting pets as a result of COVID and the pandemic, it means that at the moment we're not able to get supply as consistently as we'd want, and that's just in one particular area. So what I think for me, there are some issues that have come about as part of COVID. There are some things that have lingered on a little bit longer because the supply base has had to manage COVID outbreaks and the like as well. But then there's also some specific store things that we can follow up on in those 2 stores as well. So I think for me, there's some general issues, but I would like, Stephen, if that's all right with you, just to follow up on your points in those 2 stores, and maybe if we can pick up offline and have a conversation about any particular areas, because we can then specifically come back on that, because I may not have fully answered all your questions there.
And if I could just add a point on Long-Levin, Stephen, in particular, we know that the Long-Levin store is probably too big in terms of the size of the store for the turnover in that store at the minute. It's not, it's not to say we need to cut it down to a sort of convenience store, but just before the pandemic, we're actually working with a local community group who we're going to come in and take some space, and we're going to revisit that post June the 21st, because sometimes when you're stretching out the ranges in stores, it can sometimes, it only takes 1 or 2 products to become unavailable, as Rupert said, for then you to have larger gaps than you probably think. So certainly Long-Levins is a store that we're going to be picking back up in June.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen, for your question. So we've just got a couple left on the chat point. So Alan, I hope you don't mind me moving on to Richard Pickle's question first, because I quite like it actually. So it's got, your posh shop format for large stores is brilliant, but what are you doing to serve less affluent neighbourhoods? So Mark?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for saying that the posh shop format is brilliant. I'm going to pass to Sarah Jane in a minute, but we are investing heavily in sort of less affluent areas as well. As I said, we've opened 3 new stores to a really high standard over the past month, and that, they're in areas that are not in the sort of the posh areas of the Cotswolds, etc. that you're probably referring to, Richard. And we've got a pipeline of stores that we're going to be launching over the next sort of 2 years in Swindon, in Gloucester, the Forest of Dean, the West Midlands, etc. So we have got some exciting plans, and some really, the reception over the 3 stores that we've launched over the past month, speaking to the members who visited the store across that sort of launch day and then the following days, has been really, really positive. Sarah Jane, I think you've got a view on this.
I do. So, the less affluent stores are just as important to us as the more premium stores, because we're very integrated in the community, and it's really important that those communities are able to come and buy their essentials from us. So one of the things that has really developed this year is our honest value range. So in November last year, we launched 58 products across our shops. There's less of them available, obviously, the smaller the shop is. But across the supermarkets and the convenience estate, there were 58 in November, and then we've put in another 120 products January, February, March this year as well. And that continues. That's a really big investment from Co-op Group that we're also supporting fully in our stores, and you'll see that across the whole cooperative movement. And it's really important that we make sure there is a value proposition. And there are obviously going to be some tough times ahead as we're coming out of the pandemic, and we really help customers and members who have a slightly tighter pocket.
Thank you, Sarah Jane. And then Pat just mentioned around no reference to stores in Scotland. Rupert, you're able to?
Yeah, so Pat, Mid Counties don't have any stores in Scotland, but what we do is work with our partners in ScotMid, who are the Scottish cooperative. And when I talked a little bit earlier about us coming together on some of the sustainability challenges we have, we work with our colleagues across the country, but particularly with ScotMid in Scotland, because quite often actually a lot of the legislation that's coming down the line for the rest of the UK actually starts out in Scotland. So we definitely work with our colleagues in Scotland. We don't actually have any outlets in Scotland.
That's really helpful. Thank you for the clarity on that, Rupert. So we're actually coming towards the end now. So really appreciate everyone's questions. I'm going to hand back to Rupert to close the session. So thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for giving us your time. Right, there's been some great questions there, and hopefully you've got some of the answers you wanted. But it's the start of a dialogue, and it also means that hopefully you know who we are, and therefore if you want to ask us anything further or develop an idea, then please let us know. Secondly, thank you to the team who've kind of set this up and presented today. You did a great job in terms of representing the society, and from our point of view, we look forward to continuing to serve you, continue to grow with you, and we only get better as a result of the feedback you give us. So thank you for your engagement and time today, and we're just going to finish now with a video from Helen, our president, just updating you on 1 or 2 things that she will share.
Hello, I'm Helen Wiseman, Society President, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for this session today. I hope that you found it both interesting and informative. This is part of our ongoing commitment to get members more involved and listening to their views on the society that they own. I'm delighted to tell you that we've been nominated as Leading Co-op of the Year, and you can find out more about how to vote in this award at the end of the video. And finally, I look forward to our AGM on the 13th of May. I hope that you can join us, take part and vote on issues that matter and find out how we are driving the success of your society, supporting our communities and working towards a better, fairer world. Thank you.
If you want to flick to the final slide there, Sophie. So two of the things. So first of all, Helen was also thanking you for your attendance here today and for your input. And then she was mentioning two things actually. So first one, we've been nominated for the Leading Co-op of the Year, and therefore we're really proud of that. But actually, we'd love your support if you want to go onto the link on the screen and vote for us. And then finally, you know, we've got a series of conversations over the course of the next few days building up to our AGM on Thursday, the 13th of May. So if you haven't signed up for that, you can either scan the QR code or find a link through on the website as well. But, you know, if without further ado, really, I'd just like to say thank you for your time. And now we'll end the session there. Take care and have a lovely evening and a great weekend. Thank you, folks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great weekend.
Bye-bye.